and welcome back to the New Dig Norfolk Gardener. Now it's been a really hot day here in Norfolk today, but thankfully the work we're going to be doing now is right under the canopy of these trees. It is sort of just past the midpoint of July and it's a really great time to be planting your leeks. And what we have done, you can probably see in there, that I've taken the leeks from the pot that we had them in, and just so that they separate a little bit easily, I've just put them in a bit of water, just so that they separate that little bit easier. And there they are. Now, what we have done, we have dibbed our holes, as usual, being no dig. And although we are no dig, we still like to grow our leeks in the traditional way, which is to sink a hole into the ground a good 5 to 6 inches deep. And in that way, you get a nice long white shank, which is what most of us like. Some people are not too bothered by it and they will just plant their leeks into the ground, maybe a couple of inches deep, and they'll just enjoy the little bit of white that they have and the rest of the green stem. And actually the rest of the green stem is actually really quite tasty, there's nothing wrong with that, but we just prefer the sweetness of the white stem. And then being no dig, what we do is we don't actually dig our leeks up, but we will sink a fork into the ground and just loosen around them in much the same way as we would if we were harvesting our parsnips. But you'll see about that a little bit later on in the year when we come to doing that. Now, as I say, the holes are dibbed, and what I've done is the widths of the rows are 12 inches, 1 foot, and in the rows the leeks will be 10 inches apart. By the time they get to about this size, that's when they are ready to go into the ground. And if things had been ready a little bit earlier, they could have gone in 2 or 3 weeks ago. But this is at the time when we're ready to plant our leeks. I've got a nice little root system. And one thing I will say is that a few years back, especially when my father was still alive, the accepted practice for leek growing was to snip the roots right down and then snip the foliage right down to here. That was how leeks used to be planted. But actually, recently, people have come away from that, and you don't actually really need to do that. It's not going to make them grow any better or any worse. And indeed, if you did snip those and snip that there, it would still grow perfectly well. But why bother doing it if you don't have to? So with your holes dibbed, a good 5 to 6 inch deep, all we need to do is to pop that leek into there. And what we shall do, we shall finish the rest of these, and then we shall come back to you and show you the next stage. We have planted our first 2 rows of leeks, and it is a variety called Oarsman, which you have grown before. It is an F1 variety, so if you choose to grow this, you can't let it go to seed and then try to save the seed and use it the following year. But it's a really great leek and it produces a really thick shank, and we really like it. The majority of our harvest of leeks will be a variety called Porbella, and they will come in here, which we shall be planting next. Now, if you look at these, you'll probably see that they are sitting a bit low in here, but that's because the hole is 5 or 6 inches deep. And the one thing you don't do if you've never grown leeks before is you don't fill the holes. So the idea is that as the leek grows, it fills out and fills that hole, and that's why you get a thick stem. But what we do need to do is to fill these holes with water. And what that will do is to take some of the soil from the bottom and cover those roots so that they can start to grow. Put some soil over them naturally as we water in the hole, and then that will get them and growing away. And it is a really simple process. There's nothing difficult about it, but if you haven't grown leeks before, you don't always know this. And there we go. Not only do they get a good start from life because they've got plenty of water, but it's just cover the roots with a bit of soil at the same time. But what you haven't done, you haven't filled those holes up. And if you did fill those holes up, what would happen is you'd have very thin leeks, which is something we don't want when it comes to harvest. Now leeks are really quite easy to grow. They're not difficult, not at all. And if you haven't grown them before, I very much urge you to grow them. If you think what you pay for 3 leeks in the shops these days, and something like a variety Porbella, which will be our main sort of crop that we harvest, I think I paid about £1 for 500 seeds. What are you paying these days for 3 organic leeks? About £2, just over £2. It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? If you haven't ever grown leeks before, you're not too sure how to go about it, when to sow them, and what you need to do with them, then I do urge you to go back and look at our playlist for alliums. You'll find the leeks on there, and you'll see exactly the time of the year we sowed these. You can sow leeks earlier than we sow them, I will tell you that. You can get an earlier harvest, but we always sow our leeks to coincide with the time that the land becomes free and in they can go. And these leeks will be ready for a harvest during October and onwards. Leeks do stand really well. You don't have to worry about them going to seed, bolting, or not being very good. If they were ready for their harvest in October, they'll still be standing here in December and January, waiting for you to pick them. So I'm going to crack on with just watering the rest of these, and then we should get the other holes dibbed, and we'll get the Porbella planted. So that's all of our leeks in here. We've grown 2 varieties this year, Oarsman and Porbella, and they're the 2 varieties that we've found over the years now work really well for us and give us the sort of leeks that we want. The Porbella, they'll stand in the ground all the way until next March, April if need be. The Oarsman last well too, but we tend to take those first. You may notice to the side of me that while we were up here we decided to harvest the onions because they were ready, and then they can start their curing process just like we do with the garlic and the shallots. Then it will free that piece of land for us to put another crop in. Now, let us know if you put your leeks in already, and if you started your seed off earlier, because you know some people start their leeks off in January to get them much earlier. How are they doing? Are they starting to come to a crop? Have they been affected by all this hot weather that we've been having here in the UK? Do let us know. And if you do something different when you plant your leeks, again, let us know in the comments below. And especially to James over there in Cardiff and Ken, Swansea way, you're 2 fine Welshmen. If anybody should know about leeks, it should be you too. We shall see you on the next video.